right? So Abram is not good. And
we're about to get to it on that goal that you showed where we had. That's a prime example of not getting coached up to it. Sorry.
We're going to go to that clip. But first, I just want to set the table because I think when we watch the clip, I think you're going to see something very different. So bring up the tactical board. Thank you, Carmen.
Oh, I'm getting fired up already.
I know. I was about to press it. You finished right before.
All right. So we made two changes. Well, the two changes that we have been screaming for, honestly. So first of all, I'm going to just move them up the field because we'll pretend like we're up here. So for those of you who are just on the podcast, you got to go check out the YouTube channel. All right. So we have been playing with Sleaze and Muyumba as the dreaded double pivot. Right. And I've said, look, Sleaze doesn't need the help. And Muyumba looks like, remember I said, free Muyumba.
Free Muyumba.
So in this game, he freed Muyumba.
Did he?
He actually played with, I'll move it back so it's a little easier to see. We played with Sleaze as a free roll, true defensive midfield.
So then it wasn't a double
No,
pivot?
There was no double pivot in this game. So, and he played with Almada and Muyumba like this. Now, I still have a problem with this. Because what I was saying, if you're, and I think Pineda could be listening or somebody from the club could be listening to this because they keep doing a lot of the things that we're trying to push them for. I would have said, look, Sleaze plays the defensive midfield here. Muyumba plays in front of him, and this is just the two. And Almada just has the free roll. He didn't do that. He kind of pigeonholed Muyumba on the right and Almada on the left. And he still didn't really free Muyumba. He wasn't playing in the double pivot next to Sleaze. He freed Sleaze, right, to do this, all the time.
Left and right.
So that's the first thing. But I thought this is probably better than the double pivot, although it worked out less well probably in the end because Muyumba wasn't really free. Free him. Anyway, and then the other thing that happened, I mean, you guys are not going to believe this. So he stopped
the pinch.
Well, he stopped Saba and Mascara tracking in behind the backs.
Okay.
So these guys were forward.
And I noticed that at least on the goal where Wiley gets beat down to the end line and they cross it, it was a very different look.
Yeah.
You could tell in that goal.
Yeah.
There was no responsibility to your point on whoever the left forward was to track back. It was clear that was Wiley's, which I liked. Yeah. And Wiley got beat.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
So
it's gonna happen.
We've been having this crazy thing where Mascara, let's say, was tracking in behind Wiley like this. And we've said this is two problems. One, he's got to come all the way back, which is terrible when Wiley could just step out and mark him, right? And then the other problem is when we win the ball, we got no one to play to, right? If Mascara's back here and Wiley wins the ball, who's he going to play to? Which is why what was forcing to happen is Almada kept coming deeper and deeper and deeper because he was the only guy to play to. Right. So now we actually left Mascara and Saba kind of up the field. So now when Wiley won the ball, there was a guy to play to.
All right.
So I was like, whoa, right? Like what we actually seem like we're correcting some things. Now, the other thing is, so now we're matching up directly with our left back against their right forward and our right back Lennon against their left forward. It was a direct matchup. Right now, Wiley seemed to do a little better instead of being pinched in here. He was kind of here.
Well, he's not used to actually defending anymore.
Yes,
so that's part of the problem.
I think that's what exactly what happened is that Lennon and Wiley have been so long where they haven't defended. Lennon kept coming in here anyway and leaving the guy open. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. If this guy's not coming back to here and you're not coming here, then, this is a disaster. And on the goal that we gave up, the one that you're talking about that we're going to show in a minute. Well, both goals actually, right? So the goal that we gave up, right? Wiley is actually out there and he goes toe to toe with this guy and the guy just gets to the end line first and gets across.
Yeah. And I'm curious because Abram's kind of left in between there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about his positioning on that play? Because it ends up being a very good cross right to Benteke's head, who, that's going to be tough when you put it on a plate for him, whoever was marking him.
Yeah.
They didn't put enough elbow grease on them. But that was the one goal that I was like, okay,
We can give that.
I was like,
So
that's a tough mark on Benteke with all the momentum. You're getting run at. Wiley gets beat. Like, I'm not going to blame that on the center back.
It was Cobb, yeah.
But
and he was draped all over him.
Yeah, he was close to him. But Abram was caught in the middle of nowhere. He didn't step up to either help Wiley or drop back and double up on Benteke.
Yeah.
And he had no assignment. So that's my question. When we see it on the video here, Dave, I'm curious of, did he do anything wrong, or was he just
what
caught in limbo?
happens as you'll see on the video, we turn the ball over way up here. And the moment we turn the ball over, we're in really good pressing position, right? So we actually, I'll show you how we looked. So we ended up, Sleaze was kind of right here in front of him. Abram was here. You'll see it in a second on the clip. We actually looked like we were in pretty good position. Almada was somewhere way up here. Okay, so we turned the ball over here. We tried to play through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Lennon kind of coming up here for whatever. So in any case, the moment the ball turned over, Muyumba, the free Muyumba, now he was there to pressure. Now he wasn't really pressuring that much. I think we could have actually, if somebody had worked hard. Again, so I'm gonna say my take-home conclusion for this. So I think he actually got the tactics much better in this game. He finally got it right. But we've been playing so poor tactics for so long, the players didn't respond to it, right? Muyumba was free, but didn't look like he was all action. Right. And Wiley was marked up man to man, but he was like, I haven't done this in a while, right? And so it looked kind of like, but I would say stick with it. Don't give up.
I was about to say, but don't you expect now that we didn't get he's going to tinker again?
Yes,
I think he will.
Is, because he doesn't really know what the problem is, and he can't see what all he'll see is that we give up 3 goals. Mm-hmm. I think as we'll go through these goals, we gave up 3 pretty good goals. And instead of the goals that we've been giving up where there's like super free cross and there was clearly a breakdown, most of the goals they kind of earned. And like this first one,
2 of them,
we had a lot of pressure and they actually pinged it around like 3 one-touch passes. They played a long ball up here. Cobb was right on him, right? So this whatever guy was here.
Beautiful head or chest back.
Benteke, who got a Cobb right on him. He heads the ball. Like Sleaze goes to close it down a little. He heads the ball perfect diagonal here. Like that is really getting out of the back. If you force them to play 3 one-touch passes and then the guy plays a 30-yard ball out of his own box to Benteke's head and he heads it across to the open guy, sometimes you have to just tip your hat, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens then is that this guy dribbles with the ball here. And I don't think it's Abram's fault because he actually comes and has to stay home a little bit here. And what they end up doing is he plays in behind and Wiley just gets beat for pace.
Yeah, which is he didn't time that very well.
He got awkward the way he turned, and then he did recover. So this guy had a big lead first. He was sort of out here, but Wiley kind of chased him down. And when he finally got the cross, he was a little bit ahead. You know, Mikey Dobbs said it was a free cross, and I was like, yeah, it was a free cross, but he had a little bit of pressure on him. It wasn't like he was there looking all day and having, we talked about the tea party that he could have had.
Right.
It wasn't a tea party.
It wasn't like he had like all day look up, but I mean, he had plenty of time to get his foot around and curl it right to a huge Benteke standing there in the box. I mean, there's definitely time for him to be looking up as he went and time it to where he knew Wiley's foot wasn't going to get there in time. So
let's pull up the highlights of their first goal and you can see it.
I mean, that's how bad Wiley got beat on that, which was shocking that he got beat for pace. But again, I think it's
at least a player got beat.
I totally. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I think it's just because Wiley's not used to actually having that as his.
What? I have to defend.
That's your job.
It is part of your job.
So